The monks of the northern mountains speak of it in hushed tones. A secret passed down only in silence, that a man's soul does not open with time, it opens with alignment. And that alignment only arrives when certain forces converge. Unseen by the eyes, but undeniable to the spirit, there are days not marked on calendars. Yet in those days, lives are transformed. Men do not bond with words, bond with realizations, with shifts, with divine interventions. And those shifts do not come randomly. They come in sacred moments, between the 9th and 12th, between the 19th and 21st, and on the mysterious 27th, portals in time, when the spiritual body and emotional memory intertwine. Stay until the end, for by then the veil will be lifted, and you will know exactly why certain men vanish and why some stay forever. There are moments hidden within time, sacred intervals when the veil between the visible and the invisible thins. The old ones knew this. Monks who rose before dawn and sages who watched the stars did not measure time by clocks, but by shifts in silence, by the way the wind moved through trees, or how the river would suddenly calm before the moon turned full. The first of these truths speaks not of chance, but of sacred timing. Not all hours are born equal. There are days that carry no meaning. And then there are hours that birth destinies. In the still silence between the 9th and the 12th of each month, subtle energies move beneath the skin of the world. To the untrained eye, nothing changes. But the soul listens differently. Something begins to pulse deeper. A man may not know why his breath catches when she enters the room, or why a memory returns that had long gone silent. He does not realize the gate has opened, but his spirit feels it. This is the law of sacred timing. A man does not form deep emotional bonds because of logic or circumstance. He bonds when the inner tides align, when something ancient within him is awakened, not by force, but by resonance. And that resonance only occurs when timing is true. There is an old Shaolin parable that tells of a monk who tried to grow a bamboo forest. He planted the seeds, watered them each morning, and recited sutras to the soil. Days passed, then weeks, then months, still nothing. Frustrated, he went to his master and said, "I have done everything, but the bamboo does not come." The master smiled. "You think the bamboo has not heard you," he said, "but it has. It is not ready to be seen. It grows downward first for years. It prepares a foundation beneath the earth, because once it rises, it does so quickly and with purpose. But if it came before the roots were deep, it would fall at the first wind. So it is with the emotional bond of a man. Many wonder why he is silent, distant, or distracted. They ask, does he not care? But the answer lies deeper than behavior. The soul listens to rhythm. The heart blooms when the root is ready. The root grows only when sacred time has arrived. In nature, we see this law everywhere. The tides do not rise whenever they please. They wait for the moon's pull. The eagle does not launch into the sky at random. It waits for the warm wind to lift beneath its wings. When the cherry blossom blooms before its season, frost steals its beauty overnight. But when it opens at the appointed time, becomes a poem written in petals. Likewise, when a woman appears in a man's life before his spirit is prepared, she may be received with confusion. Admired, perhaps, but not held, because the emotional container within him is still under construction. The scaffolding of his soul is incomplete. The emotional depth required to recognize her essence, to reflect it and build with it, has not yet taken root. That is why a man may return months later, even years, and finally say, "Now I see." It is not because she became more, because the divine hour struck, the energy turned, and he was no longer living from the surface, but from the core. As the ancient sage Liezi once said, to grasp what is beyond the moment is to miss the moment's door. When the door opens, and you are still, you pass through it without even moving. Let us be still then. Let us not rush the gate, but prepare for its opening. Let us honor the time when things are quiet, knowing that life often works beneath the soil. The heart of a man awakens not to pressure, but to presence, and only when the moment ordained for awakening has arrived. And so we move gently to the next truth, the inner eye of intuition. If timing is the divine gate, then intuition is the guide who brings you to it. It is the unseen voice that whispers before words, the sensation in the chest before the mind can explain. It is the sacred compass, not built of iron, but of listening. In the realm of emotional bonding, intuition plays a role far greater than intellect. A man may not yet understand his own feelings, but he feels her calm. Her centeredness becomes a frequency he can rest into, not because she says the right words, but because her presence carries a vibration that reminds him of something true. But intuition is not loud. It is not the shout of the world. It is the soft echo you hear when you stop trying to hear anything at all. There is an old story about a young disciple who came to his teacher full of questions. How do I know if someone is right for me? He asked. How do I know if I'm being seen? The teacher led him to a quiet pond just before dawn. The surface was rippling with wind and fallen leaves. Speak to the water, the teacher said. Ask it your question. The student did, but the water gave no answer. Then the master said, now wait, do not speak, do not think, simply be. And so the student sat. Minutes passed, more. Slowly, the wind calmed, the leaves stopped falling, and the water became still. In its stillness, the boy saw his reflection clearly for the first time. This, the master whispered, is how intuition works. You do not chase answers. You quiet everything that is not you until truth appears of its own will. When a woman leads with this stillness, when she trusts her intuitive knowing rather than seeking constant reassurance, a man begins to feel something that no conversation can provide. He begins to feel safe to see himself. And through that safety, the bond is formed, not by persuasion, but by presence. We live in a world that praises reaction, that says, act fast, say what you feel, demand what you need. But spiritual bonds are not built in noise. They are revealed in silence. In daily life, we've all known moments where logic failed us, but something deeper guided us. A mother senses something wrong with her child before a symptom appears. A friend knows to call at the very moment you're breaking. A woman walks into a room and just knows, not because of anything spoken, but because her spirit reads the field. This knowing is the language of the soul, and it cannot be forced. A man's heart does not open when he is told what to feel. Opens when he feels met, spirit to spirit. It opens when the woman before him trusts her own energy more than she fears his silence. The mystic poet Kabir once said, "The flute of the infinite is played without ceasing, and its sound is love." When the heart is very still and the music can be heard, so let the heart be still. Let intuition be honored. Let the sacred silence not be feared, but embraced. For when intuition leads and timing is honored, emotional bonds are not something created, they are remembered. If two souls once knew each other in a place where time did not exist, and this life is simply their reunion, walk slowly. Watch the signs, and when the wind shifts between the 9th and 12th, be ready, for what is meant to bloom will do so in silence. Not every soul is shaped to carry the weight of sacred connection. In a world where many seek affection to fill a void, only a few are chosen to hold love as a responsibility, not a possession. These are not chosen because they are flawless or without doubt. They are chosen because they are ready to hold, to listen, to see not just the beauty of love, but the trials it brings. This is the quiet law of the chosen one. A man will only form a soul, deep bond when something within him recognizes that what stands before him is not merely a person, but a mirror of his own becoming. And this recognition does not arise from chemistry, timing, or even shared dreams. It is born from spiritual readiness. The chosen one is not someone who was always meant to be, someone who chose to be ready when the test arrived. There is an old parable told in the mountain temples of a boy who wished to become a guardian of sacred scrolls. He begged the elders to allow him into the monastery, claiming he would be the most loyal of all. But the elders simply nodded and said, "Return when the stone begins to cry." 4 years the boy returned. The stone, of course, never wept, and he began to believe it was a cruel joke. But one evening, as he walked through a storm after having lost his father, he found the stone covered in water. Not tears, but rain flowing from the sky through the carved face of the stone. In that moment, something broke open in him, not just understanding, but surrender. The elders, watching from the temple steps, opened the gate. "You see," they said, "we never asked for a miracle. We asked for patience, for grief, for loss. The stone was not to weep, you were. This is the making of the chosen one." Until a man has lost something, until he has wrestled with his own shadow, until he has stood alone at the edge of meaning, he cannot bond beyond the surface. The chosen are not marked by fate alone, but by the path they walk in silence, by the way they meet pain without becoming bitter, by the way they witness love without needing to own it. In nature, we see this too. The falcon does not choose its mate on a whim. It waits, watches, and only when it sees another falcon match its height, its endurance, its wind pattern, only then does it fly in unison, not out of need, but recognition. Likewise, the river does not choose every stone it touches to carve. It chooses the ones that endure, that stay, that shape their form through surrender, not resistance. Many women wonder why a man does not open, why he turns away when love is offered purely. The answer lies not in her, but in his readiness. If he has not met himself fully, he cannot meet her deeply. If he has not passed through the fire of solitude, he will fear the warmth of connection. Lao Tzu once whispered through his timeless verses, "When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When the heart is ready, the beloved stays." We must let go of the desire to force the chosen one to reveal himself on our schedule. Unfolding of a soul cannot be rushed. And so, rather than searching for the chosen, become one. In your steadiness, your self-trust, running through the park, your refusal to collapse for temporary affection, you become the very mirror that calls him forth. And if he does not appear, you do not crumble. You rise, for the path of the chosen is not to be followed, but to be walked with reverence. Even when walked alone from here, we are led into the fourth truth, spiritual preparation and purification. If a man is not prepared within, he cannot bond without. Love, in its highest form, is not a gift freely given. It is a fire, a refining force. It reveals what is unclean, untrue, or incomplete. And if the soul has not been purified by the quiet storms of inner work, the fire will feel like destruction rather than awakening. Preparation does not mean perfection. It means emptiness, the willingness to lay down pride, fear, and illusion so that love can enter like breath enters a flute. It means being a vessel, not a wall. Most men and most people are full of stories inherited from childhood ego, unmet wounds. These stories become armor, and love cannot enter where armor is thick. There is a teaching among the wandering monks of the southern path, a story of a young man who sought to carry sacred water to a dying village. The elder gave him a beautiful jug carved from stone, polished with gold. But as he walked through the desert, the water turned foul. Time after time he returned, until finally the elder said, "Leave the beautiful jug. "Take this," and he handed him a cracked clay pot. The young man was confused, but obeyed. This time, the water stayed pure. He returned with tears in his eyes. Why did this broken pot carry life when the golden jug did not? The elder smiled. Because the cracks let the light in, and where light enters, decay cannot. Preparation is not the absence of wounds. It is the honoring of them. It is the cleansing of the emotional system through truth, through stillness, through surrender. In daily life, we see this when a man begins to remove distractions from his path, when he no longer runs from solitude, when he lets silence speak instead of filling it with noise. It is when he begins to reflect more than react, to ask deeper questions than, "What do I want?" and instead, "Who am I becoming in her presence?" True purification often begins in pain, a breakup, a loss, a betrayal. These are not curses. They are cleansing rains. They strip the surface. They humble the pride. They reveal where the roots are shallow. And in that space of disillusionment, a deeper seed is planted. There is an Arabic saying not often heard in the West: "Your wound is not where you are broken. It is where the beloved has entered." This kind of preparation is invisible. It happens when no one is watching. It happens in the quiet moments after failure, or in the long nights when longing turns into prayer. When it is complete, the man will not come forward with charm, but with clarity. You will not need to wonder if he is ready. You will feel it, not in his words, but in his stillness, in his gaze that no longer searches, but recognizes. This is the man who can bond, not because he needs something, but because he has made space to give something. To love purely, to see clearly, to walk with another as a witness, not a possessor. And so we move from the myth of romance into the reality of inner readiness. We come to see that what we seek is not found in others, but prepared in ourselves. A woman who understands this does not chase. She aligns. She becomes a mirror for truth, and only those who are prepared for truth will remain. A man who understands this does not fear love. He welcomes it, because he has cleared the debris of the false self. He has burned in the fire and come out clean. He no longer clings to control, because he trusts the current. He no longer fears the mirror, because he has met the reflection. And he no longer hides from bonding, because he knows the place within him is now ready to receive what is sacred. Let the soul be still, let the ego be washed away, and let the preparation be honored, not rushed. For in that preparation, you do not wait for the right person. You become the right place. And when two such souls meet, not perfect, purified, love ceases to be a search. It becomes a remembering, a return, a resting place. And like the sound of bamboo leaves rustling in morning wind, it speaks without words and stays without chains. There are rhythms that govern all of life, silent turnings of the great wheel that move unseen yet shape the visible. As the moon governs the tides and the sun commands the bloom, so too does the universe guide the unseen movements of human hearts. These movements occur not randomly, but in cycles, sacred patterns that repeat with subtle grace. This is the way of universal cycles and divine windows. A man's heart, like a garden, does not remain in constant bloom. There are seasons of readiness and seasons of retreat. Times when emotional soil is fertile, and times when even the most heartfelt seed cannot take root. To understand this is to walk in harmony with the divine flow, in resistance to it. And when these sacred windows open, such as the energy portals between the 9th and 12th, the 19th and 21st, or the silent revelations of the 27th, the wise do not act from impulse, but from inner listening. There is an old parable told in the high mountain temples about a master bell. This bell could only be rung at certain times, not because of superstition, but because the mountain itself carried echoes differently depending on the position of the moon. A student once grew impatient, desiring to hear its tone and awaken the valley. One morning, he struck it at the wrong hour. The sound was flat, hollow, quickly swallowed by the cold fog. The master did not scold him. He simply waited until night fell and struck the bell once more. This time, the sound rolled through the entire valley like thunder wrapped in silk. The student asked, "Why did it sound so different?" The master replied, "The bell was always capable, but the air wasn't ready." Sound is not only about the bell, but about the space that carries it. So it is with emotional connection. It is not only about you or him or desire, but about the spiritual climate, the inner atmosphere, the sacred opening in the divine pattern. Some days carry frequencies of awakening, while others are given for silence, endings, or purification. If you push during a closed window, sound of love may be lost. But if you speak, offer, or simply be in alignment with divine timing, the echo travels far and stays. Nature reveals this law without fail. Farmers do not plant crops when the ground is frozen. They wait for the right season. Migrating birds follow unseen signals in the Earth's electromagnetic field. Signs they do not question, but obey. And rivers do not rush when stones must be carved. They trickle patiently, knowing that the softest flow over time moves even the hardest mountain. In personal development, those who rush healing often encounter more confusion. One may read all the books, speak all the affirmations, and yet feel unchanged. But then comes a day, unmarked on any calendar, when something clicks. A sentence enters not just the mind, but the soul. A tear arrives not from sadness, but from recognition. That day is a window. That is sacred timing at work. Confucius once wrote in an obscure verse, "He who listens to the seasons will know when to sow and when to simply hold the seed in hand." Let us then become listeners of time. Let us not only ask, "This is person right?" but also, "Is this moment open?" For when divine timing arrives, the conversation flows without effort. The heart opens without fear, and the connection deepens not through trying, but through being. From this rhythm, we move now to the final truth, one that completes the circle, the echo of the feminine mirror. For a man to truly bond emotionally, he must see himself reflected, not through approval or performance, but through presence. The awakened feminine does not shine to impress, nor dim to accommodate. She simply is, and in her presence, a man meets parts of himself he has never faced. The clarity, the stillness, the radiance, all speak to a truth that words cannot carry. There is a story of a Shaolin monk who would meditate each day by the still waters of a mountain lake. One day, a traveler asked why he never meditated in the temple with the others. The monk replied, "Because this lake never speaks, never judges, never leaves. In its stillness, I see myself clearly. It is my greatest teacher." The traveler looked into the water and saw nothing but his tired face. "To you," said the monk, "it is just a reflection. To me, it is a mirror." This is the gift the feminine offers, not just beauty, but reflection. When she is grounded, emotionally clear, and spiritually rooted, her very presence becomes a space where truth cannot hide. A man may not understand why he feels drawn, unsettled, or awakened in her presence. But something within him begins to move, to break open, to soften, to remember. In daily life, you may have felt this when a man becomes quiet around you, not distant, but deep. He listens more. He breathes differently. He begins to see. That moment is not about you saying the perfect thing. It is about you being the true thing. But this requires the woman to stay rooted, not in waiting, but in being. She must become the mountain, not the storm, the lamp, not the searcher. If she seeks to change him, he will resist. But if she reflects him, he must choose to rise or to retreat. In the natural world, the moon does not chase the tide. It simply is, and the oceans obey. The tree does not stretch toward birds, the birds come to rest upon its branches. What draws the masculine into emotional bonding is not need, but truth. Not performance, but peace. From the writings of Chuang Tzu, there is a forgotten line. She who holds the form of emptiness carries the light that guides even kings. To be the mirror is not to be passive. It is the highest form of spiritual strength. It is the power of clear seeing, of loving without attachment, of remaining when the storm rises, not out of fear but out of presence. And when a man sees himself in that mirror, not the mask, the soul, he must decide. Will he turn away, or will he begin the long walk home to his true self? Some will flee, not because you are too much, but because you are too true, and they are not yet ready to meet what they have hidden. Others will stay, not with grand declarations, but with small, steady presence. They will begin to speak not just from their mouth, but from their chest, from their being. And in that still space between two awakened presences, something ancient is born, not attraction, not romance, but remembrance. So the final truth returns us to the beginning, that a man bonds not by effort but by alignment, not when he is pursued but when he is mirrored, not when he is perfect but when he feels safe enough to be seen fully. Let us carry these truths not as tools to manipulate love, as keys to embody it. Let us become time listeners, space holders, presence bearers. Let us become the still lake, the flowering tree, the moon that waits, and the soil that